Tuning into my video series, You're Indicted and Facing Prison Now What? My name is Marc Blatstein, and in 2006, I too was indicted and convicted of a felony, losing my medical license. To call this a life-altering event is at best is an understatement, and as all of you are kindly aware, it's a rough hoe to get through. With work, though, I was able to get my medical license reinstated in full in 2010. And so my takeaway, my lesson from this is that prison's temporary. Eventually, you're going to be going home. And so it's important before you get to your pre-sentence interview, as you're gathering all the information that the probation officer wants, you also need to have a well-written personal narrative that you've been working on, a release plan, as premature as that may seem, because the judge is going to want to know what's your plan, not to come back to their courtroom, as well as what's called an allocution, which is your conversation with the judge. And I'll go into these at different YouTubes at a later time. But my goal here in this series is to provide you with all the information you'll need to survive and navigate through these times, because knowledge together with preparation is going to help you build back the confidence you're going to need throughout this process. Since you've heard or learned that the Department of Justice and the FBI have been asking questions, their case against you probably is mostly complete, and their conviction rate is over 95%. Some will say 98%. So waiting to take the next step is at your peril, and that's identifying legal representation. And you want someone to start who practices federal criminal defense in federal court. But hiring a legal team just doesn't mean that they have experience. They also need to have a proven track record for successfully defending cases like yours. And that's going to be important because you also need to have a feeling that it's a good fit between you and these attorneys, because this is your future. And if you don't are comfortable talking with them, then you may not get the best possible outcome. So therefore, the choices that you're going to make today are going to influence and help your tomorrow. Should you have questions, please do not hesitate to call and consider engaging my services at 240-888-7778. This is your life and your future. The judge understands that crimes do not happen in a vacuum. Most are also interested in learning from you, the defendant, in your own words, what caused you to break the law? What happened? It, how did it happen? And to start, this is where you have to begin drafting a well-written narrative, it's a story, autobiography of your life. And currently, the Department of Justice, they've done your job for you. They have released your story, your autobiography of your life in the form of your indictment worldwide on the World Wide Web. So I'm pretty sure it's not very flattering. So to start, the Department of Justice wants prison time. By the time you're aware that the Department of Justice in the investigation part of the case is mostly complete, they have a conviction rate of 98%. This results in, for most people, a prison sentence. The length of time that you're going to be in prison is influenced by whether your attorney and you choose to go to trial or accept a plea. Whether you've written your own personal narrative and have had an honest conversation with yourself, then you've written your narrative, as well as preparing for conversation with your judge of sentencing, which is called your allocution. Trial or plea. You can go to trial, but just feeling that you're innocent is not enough. But if you and your attorney feel that you have a strong case, then go to trial. The prosecution is going to want a longer prison sentence if you lose, but it's not guaranteed that they'll get it. And so while you are in trial, what you do not want to do is get on the bad side of the judge and the court. Sam Bankman-Fried did it, and they eventually wound up putting him in jail or a detention center until his trial. Not very good lawyering from my perspective. Donald Trump, well, we don't have his money, and chances are you don't have all these people across the country that want you to be president, but he's aggravating the court every day, but they don't want to put him in trial. You and I will rather in jail. You and I we will be put in jail if we aggravate the trial. And another reason, last reason, is because if you lose a trial, you're going to have to come back to the same judge at the same court and ask for leniency. Pre-trial probation officer, during pre-trial probation, you want to avoid the actions beyond what they allow you to do and refrain from, don't commit other crimes. The court, probation officer, and judge is all going to be aware if you violate before your attorney does. You just don't want to do that, because you at least want to put the best foot forward before you get in front of the judge. The judge knows that the prosecutor wants prison time, and their long-term aspirations may include a career in politics or as a white-collar criminal defense attorney. And last, the prosecutor thinks you're responsible for the world's sins, so they're going to want to put you in jail. The probation officer who conducts your interview. The probation officers are overworked, have no time, and may actually appreciate any effort you make to prepare for your meeting. After the interview and investigation, the probation officer is going to complete what they call a probation report worksheet. Once you have provided all of the remaining documentation that they need, they will draft your official pre-sentence report. You may also elect to include your BOP placement request along with the reasons supporting your request for that placement. We recommend, and I recommend, providing your probation officer with everything they need. This includes a personal narrative and release plan. The narrative is because the department is your story, your autobiography. Nike has Just Do It. Wheaties breakfast cereal, breakfast of champions. Tesla's got SpaceX. Right now, your story is your federal indictment that the Department of Justice has released worldwide. Not very flattering. And your release plan. It's what you're going to do to essentially, the judge is going to know that the judge wants to know that they're not going to see you again in their courtroom. Believe him, because I didn't, and I wound up in worse problems. So your release plan is your plan for what you're going to do when you get out. And if you're in a financial situation with you where you don't have to work at all, okay, then you can begin to write your release plan, which includes either volunteering or caring for a sick loved one. And all this information goes into the probation officer through your attorney before you have the actual interview, which is about a week or so. That allows, in a more relaxed environment on the interview day, for the probation officer to get to know you personally and ask any remaining questions they may have. This may help them form a more favorable impression of who you are. They may actually come away from the meeting feeling that who you are is contrary to what is in the federal indictment. But if you've already reached this point and you don't have time to wait for my future videos, give me a call and we can discuss your situation one-on-one. Once again, my number, 240-888-7778. Your defense attorney. The judge knows that your defense attorney wants less time in prison for you. Counsel, though, usually knows nothing about your personal background. Another reason to provide a well-written personal narrative so that you can help the attorney in their case to defend you. And having that narrative can change how your attorney is going to proceed with either your plea or into post-defense or into trial. They want to understand the circumstances that resulted in you breaking the law as you stand before them today, and that's the judge. And so it's important on many levels to, one, find yourself a federal criminal defense attorney who practices in federal court, has experience in cases like yours, but has a proven track record of success in cases like yours. And then you feel like a good fit. Then comes your pre-sentence interview, which you have to be prepared for, which includes all medical information, everything, education. I go into this in another YouTube, but you need to include in it, for if you want to bet more successful outcome, your own personal narrative, which is your story. And it doesn't come from a first draft. It takes several drafts to get through. And I work with you and I work with others. If should you choose to have any questions or your concerns answered, give me a call today at 240-888-7778. This is my personal cell, and I answer and return all calls. All this information is available for free on my website at pprsus.com. P as in Paul, P as in Paul, R as in Robert, S as in Sam, US.com, otherwise known as Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. I'm grateful for you listening in today. Thank you, and have a good day.